Okay, get started.
We're ready. Good evening. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in prayer, please. Our Lord Jesus, thank you for this evening and the wonderful weather that we have, but more importantly, prepare us for the coming school year. Help us to be sensitive, teachers be sensitive to the children, to the need of the students, and that we're able to meet that, and that we'll go beyond just the learning process, but we'll develop young men and women that have integrity and that live a correct life. Thank you for the time. Give us wisdom as a board. Give us the right decisions. And give you all the praise. Amen. Amen. All right, future board meetings, August the 8th, August the 22nd, and September the 12th. All that is beginning of the school year. Revisions on the agenda, we have a number of additions to the human resource report, and I think one item under old business is added. Public recognition, anything tonight?
Yes, I do. Actually, Dr. Kuhn wrote something on this, and I don't know if he wants to talk about it. Let me read it first. And
I thought that was done at the last board meeting.
well, yes, there was a technology situation. You have to refresh.
Go ahead.
So I'll go ahead and read it. This is from Dr. Kuhn. All 42 of our buses went through their annual inspection for next school year, and all 42 passed. So we wanted to say great job to our mechanic, Kyle Hiley, Melissa Ball, and all of our bus drivers for staying on top of the bus maintenance needs throughout the year and this summer. So again, we do have a great team with our transportation department, and we just really, really appreciate them. And thank you, Dr. Kuhn, for writing that down. Yes, it was on there last time, if you refresh your computer, but when I looked, it was blank, and then when you refresh it, it's there. So to make sure that all happens that way. So again, that's all I have for that, but thank the transportation department for all that.
That's it.
That's it for now. We're gonna have a lot more once school starts.
Did you do that for the 19th meeting?
Yes, yeah, no. Probably because it didn't refresh.
Right.
And actually, they told me it had to be a short meeting, so yeah.
School recognition, nothing there?
No.
Either? Okay. Public comment on agenda items? If not, I'll take a motion to approve minutes from the meeting on the 11th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Approval of financial reports. Questions on claims?
If you'll notice, there are some claims in there that would have been like bond claims for the project, like the Southwood roof, and some of those types of things. So
I moved to approve claims.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, payroll. You just have a single one this evening.
yeah, this is the first payroll of the new fiscal year. So that just kind of shows you some of that. That would include some summer school stuff.
Motion. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say from last meeting, of course, the two payrolls that we had a lot more that were part of the, all the ECAs in the end, so this is quite a bit less than last time, just because of that. I recall that from last meeting.
I moved to approve payroll.
I'll second that. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. All right, financial summary there, Chris.
Just gave you the estimated cash flows from the end of June. The only difference there is that the revenue, the grant revenue, does reflect the July estimated ADM number with the new dollar amounts that were passed in this last legislative session. So it is showing what dollars we would receive for an estimated ADM of 2141. And so in October, when we have our actual ADM count, that number can go up or down depending on what our actual ADM will be at that point in time. So,
We haven't started negotiations because we can't start until September 15th, and that does not include any of that.
yes, that does, and that's always been on there, there's been no potential increase on certified salaries yet estimated in that.
So you said you plugged in the new ADM rate.
Yep.
I didn't compare it to previous.
So if you look at it, I know it's hard to kind of see, but, we were getting, with our current ADM, we were getting 1.4 million, which we have a little bit of a higher ADM than what's estimated, because I think at the end of February, we were at 2191. And with the new amounts, what is that, about 1.4, a little higher, about 32,000 more a month, with less ADM, but more dollars from the increases in state funding. So if we had a potential of staying flat, like I said, 290 is where we were last spring, then there would be an additional 50 students there, ADM dollars that are not attributed in this calculation. But on the flip side, if there's less than the 2,141, then that would be less money that we would end up getting back in the later months to reconcile that.
And there's one other calculation that we don't know about yet either, and that's the curriculum, curricular materials also.
Yeah, I was gonna say the textbook shortfall.
So we do not have a number for that? We don't know.
No, that's not factored into this, and we won't get those numbers until November.
And we've never had to factor that in there, so that's gonna be brand new for us.
I think there'd be a slight amount of pushback on that. I
Well,
guess it's.
so those dollars that
dollars.
those dollars that we'll get for textbook will not be any part of education fund dollars. Those will go into its own fund. And those are curriculum materials fund. Those dollars we receive will go into that. However, any expenses that aren't covered by that will come out of the education fund.
But obviously, that's a great legislative bill that is great for our families.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think every family would appreciate it.
Yes.
So that's all I had as far as updates on that.
We'll move on into budget review then.
Sure. So at the last meeting, you guys reviewed the rainy day fund. At this meeting, we just kind of go over the operations fund. And so I laid it out there for you as a proposed budget in our operation for 2024. That is reflected in the advertised column. And then to the right of that is what we adopted for 2023. Just to give you a kind of comparison of some of those accounts. Most of the increases are going to be due to increases in salaries and benefits to those personnel, plus some increases just caused by price inflation on some things. Like this year, we've already spent $50,000 more in gasoline than what we did in the previous year at this point in time. So that's all laid out there for you, which gives you an estimated proposed budget of $9.9 million, which last year the proposed budget was $8.9 million. So an increase of $1 million. And again, remember these, when we talk about budget, we're talking about appropriations, and so that means that's the ability to spend those dollars. That doesn't mean you will actually spend those dollars. And if you spend more than that, then you have to get additional appropriations asked for through the DLGF. So. On the part of helping build that budget also is the other parts that kind of go with that, which is in your packet, the capital projects plan, as well as the bus replacement plan. Both of those have to be advertised before we have our budget hearing, 10 days before the budget hearing. Those get advertised on the Gateway website. I put in a date of September 12th as a potential for our budget hearing, but that may get pushed back another board meeting or so. One of the things I'm trying to get a little bit more confirmation on is our bonding process, because that will impact our debt service, and I want to make sure that we have those impacts reflected in our budget for 2024. And so we do have some grace as far as timelines are concerned. I don't believe the final date that we can have a budget adopted is in November. And so I like to get it done in September, but with those things that are happening with the bond process, we may have to push it back to September, October. But the capital project plan lays out basic capital projects and needs throughout our buildings that are over $10,000. And our bus replacement plan reflects what buses we are up for replacement through their 12-year life cycle. That doesn't mean that they will necessarily get replaced at that point in time, but that estimation goes out 6 years. Or 5 years, sorry.
A little pessimistic on inflation there, aren't you?
On the bus. Yeah, the first one was kind of a stab in the dark because inflation, the last 2 times we bought buses, they went up about 12% each time. Typically, I put in about a 4% increase, which I did at 2025, 26, 27, 28. 2024 was kind of a stab a little bit, but I would not be surprised if it wouldn't be close to 115.
Yeah, I wouldn't. We need to approve anything.
The only thing is just approve like I said, we'll have to advertise the bus replacement plan and capital projects plan. I just asked that we go ahead and approve that advertisement, and that is without confirming the actual public hearing date. Like I said, it doesn't have to be advertised until 10 days before that date, so we have some time to do that, but that would give us some flexibility of when to advertise that. Go ahead and do it now.
I'll move to accept.
Second.
All in favor of approving the permission to advertise, say aye.
Aye.
All right, next up would be HR.
We need some water.
Well, just pass these out. That's an idea.
Just read it yourself.
All right. Under resignation, we have Hubert Baker, bus driver in the south, Tricia Miracle, paraprofessional Sharp Creek, Teresa Coe, paraprofessional Sharp Creek also, Eva Simpson, paraprofessional at Southwood Elementary, and Katie McClure, PE teacher at Southwood High School. Under employment, we have Alex Latta, music teacher at Metro North, Amanda Stevenson, 5-hour cook at Southwood, Chris Crum, bus driver in the north. Diana Rocky, temporary English teacher at Southwood High School. Jennifer Nestler, temporary kindergarten teacher at Metro North. Nicole Powell, professional Northfield High School. Transfers. Kimberly McAdams, transferring from Southwood High School cook to Southwood Elementary. Retirement. Kathy Goldman, English teacher at Southwood High School, but notice she has informed us early that will be at the end of this coming school year. Fall coaches at Southwood: Dave Snyder, head football; Dan Snyder, assistant; Jay Wyatt, assistant; Zach Ball, assistant; Ben Bachman, junior high football; Cameron Ball, junior high football; Tom Pinnacle, head volleyball; Tim Drake, assistant volleyball; Karen Tinkle, assistant volleyball; Grant Lanky Bartles, assistant volleyball; Stephanie Hacker, assistant volleyball; Rachel Hurst would be doing junior high volleyball; Gina Deaton, junior high volleyball; Bailey Winget, junior high volleyball; Gina Smith, 6th grade volleyball; Danielle Stauffer, head cheer; Sierra Tresca, assistant cheer; Danielle Schoenfeld, junior high cheer; Jordan Boyer, head golf; Doug Chenoweth, assistant golf; Tanya Boone, head cross country; Danielle Collins, assistant cross country; and Danielle Bassus, assistant cross country. Moving to fall coaches for Northfield: Hallie Zolman, head cheer; Ashley Nickham, JV cheer; Brittany Dawes, junior high cheer; Braylon Dieter, junior high assistant; Andrea Beeks, head cross country; Kelly Beaver, assistant cross country; Eric Kirkland, assistant cross country; Faith Lemming, junior high cross country; Kevin Lemming, junior high assistant cross country; Brandon Baker will be head football; Stan Cox, assisting; Jeff Campus, assistant; Tori Schaefer, assisting; Evan Harris, assisting; Micah Higgins, assisting; Joseph Mitchell, assisting; and then Matt Burkhart will be junior high football; Jim Curry, assistant football; Joe Halderman, junior high football; Tiffany Livesay, head volleyball; Shelly Myers, assistant volleyball; Tony McKillop, assistant volleyball; Kat Hopper, volleyball volunteer; Emily Pennington, assistant volleyball; Alyssa Span, 8th grade volleyball; Cody McClure will be head golf; and Ariel Dale, assistant golf.
Phew.
And I apologize for
I'll move to accept HR.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Bowman, I'd like to mention a couple of things. First of all, Kathy Goldman, although she's going to go ahead and do this year, we really appreciate her letting us know early. That will give us a plan, and I did talk to Mrs. Lewis today, and we will be posting that probably even before Christmas to see if there's any of those, some of those teachers that are graduating midterm, so we can have that lined up for the 24-25 school year. So we'll be posting that early, and again, we thank Mrs. Gilman for that. She has been with us. After this year, will be 35 years. So we really appreciate her work. And I will say, Hubert Baker, Mr. Baker, bus driver, I believe he's talking about retirement, even though he put resignation. So I just will mention him too. So we appreciate his service over the many years being a bus driver also. So that's okay.
Do you have superintendent report?
Yes, I do.
Because Matt's not here.
Yeah, Matt's not here, so we'll go ahead. I do have just a few things I want to talk about. First of all, again, just the summer projects. Appreciate Steve Hawley, Dr. Kuhn for keeping those moving. A lot of things going on, and I kind of share some of those things, give you some highlights and pictures every once in a while too. We talked about it last week, so I don't really have any other updates right now, except though that the Southwood EFS the external installation and finishing systems. I believe that's completed at Southwood now. They started at Northfield, of course, the parking lot, this Metro North is going well. Just have to get the stripes done on that. Southwood roof is being worked on and some other things that I mentioned last time. Also, just want to give you a little update. Our registration for the 23-24 school year started. Actually, they opened up slightly early before Monday. It was kind of, I think 11:15 p.m., I believe Shirley said. But we have 42% as of 3 p.m. today have already registered, so 42%. That's really, really good for that early. This is only Tuesday, it just opened up yesterday. So that's great. That does not obviously include the students at White's because they don't have to register, so we took that number out of there. Also, just wanted to mention too, hopefully people have seen the magazine that has gone out. Laura Langebartles and the people that helped with that, and people that checked it out and all the different things. That was a great publication. Did you guys all get them? Sure. All
I
right.
just got mine.
Just yesterday. Okay. A lot of them going out, and so you never know when, as far as the mail, but it's getting out. Had a lot of positive comments about that, and even at the fair, talked to some people, and they were getting it during the fair too, and that was very positive. Also, I will save the flexibility waiver until we talk about the calendar, because then I'll explain that a little bit more at that point. So that's really all I have at this point, at this time.
Mr. Drake?
Yeah, so we updated our science curriculum that we brought to you, and we had it set for 2 weeks, and offered community input. And probably July wasn't the best time to get community input. I think lots of people were busy. But I would now ask for your chance to vote on that. So recommendation is to modify, we're still maintaining the original one, but we're adding Sabbath to our 6 through 8 science curriculum. Again, this is a teacher choice, principal approved, and so it's been through several steps to get to this process.
I move to approve the science curriculum.
I'll second that.
All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then I gave you hot off the presses. The island data has been released. Real quick before I jump into it, the state of Indiana doesn't hold schools accountable for kids that aren't with them for a certain number of days.
62%.
So if a student comes to us like the day before they test, we would still test them, but their score doesn't count on our accountability percentages. I don't know if that makes sense. And so the data they gave to us includes all of those students. And so this data that I'm giving you is as good as we've got right now, but I would expect it to change just a little bit, because there might be a student that was with us 100 days when really we need to be 162 days or whatever. And so, so you can see the state averages, and for comparison purposes, you can see what we do to compare to other schools in the area. I guess I'll just pause and see if you have any questions about any of that. The 4 on the front are 3 through 8. Actually, science is only, put myself on the spot here, science is only like 5 and 7, 4 and 7. Yeah, 2 grades.
Not pre-K
2 grade
too.
levels.
Social studies is only one.
I'm pretty sure it's 5 and 7. And social studies is actually only 1 grade. I think that is 6. Oh, no. 4 and 5. Science is 4 and 6, and social studies is 5. I'm 50% sure of that.
I was going to say, I know
That's
about that.
social studies.
In what grade was
He
he?
was 5th.
5th grade, yeah, I'm pretty sure, because I know 4th grade is a science grade, and I think they don't do it the next one. So 4th and 6th and 5th. I can get you that later. Needless to say, they don't test all 3 through 8 for science and social studies, but it's those grades there. And then on the back, when a student takes biology, which in some schools they take it in 8th grade, some they take it in 9th, some 10th. At the end of that, they take what they call an end of course assessment, which is this island biology score. So those are all the students that finished biology this year, somewhere throughout the year, and that's when they took it, and that's our scores there. Generally for us, most kids take it freshman and sophomore. But the state doesn't dictate that. It's just one picture. We try not to beat this over our heads one way or another. It's not like it's a end all be all. It's just help us to get a taste of where we are and where we want to be. And I feel like it's always important to bring the state and other areas around because nobody likes to hear a 40% pass rate, right? And so it's good to keep that balanced.
It's good to see we're well above state average on some of that, above state average on all of it.
Yeah. That's always been a goal too, to make sure that's at least one standard. For sure, other standards also, but that's one.
Yep. And that's it.
Thanks. No items under new business, but unfinished business, we have revised 2023-2024 school calendar.
All right, so the calendar that we had that you adopted on January 24th, 2023, basically said that it was subject to change due to current and/or possible new legislation. And at the time, we were assuming that we would not get the waiver because we really did not know. And so we put in a couple of things. We did say that our staff development days, which we have those 3, would be e-learning. But with the waiver, we really had 2 different things that were granted to us by the State Board of Education. Number 1 is that we can use our extra minutes to do this staff development on those 3 days, 1 in September, 1 in October, and 1 in March. And so those days will be only professional development. Also in October, we will do the parent-teacher conferences, but there will be no e-learning during that time. And so the one change on the calendar is on September, October, and March, we just took out the word, we took the backslash off, and we also took the word e-learning off, okay? The other change was we took out the subject to change due to, at the top there, right underneath of course, says cancel days become e-learning of the day of the cancellation. We took the language out about the legislation because we don't need to worry about that part of it specifically right now. Just to let you know, and I know I gave that to the board, I gave that to all of our staff, but basically too, we were granted, well, everyone in the state's granted the 3, what they call virtual days, which we call them e-learning asynchronous. Those are granted to us, and those 3 days, we will use those first 3 days as e-learning asynchronous days for inclement weather. So everybody gets that. And then we were also granted 5 more days of what we call e-learning asynchronous. So up to 8 days that we can use. So the only situation is that if we go over that, we have 2 choices, and we will be talking to the administration, teacher association, everyone else about what we would like to do if that happens. But our 2 choices are, we would have to use some day somewhere, at the end of the year, maybe another day that we have off as a makeup day, or we would have to do synchronous days. And synchronous days by law, we have to have, our elementary students would have to be in front of our teachers for 2.5 hours during the day, throughout the day at some point, online of course, and then our secondary would be 3 hours. Synchronous days, you can do as many synchronous days as you want. There's no waivers, there's nothing about that. That's just something that you can do. But we'll just figure that out. In the last several days, we've only had one, or the last several years, we've only had that 1 year where we missed 10 days. There was another time where we did miss 8 days. So it's, it can happen, but it's highly likely that we will not need more than 8 days. Last year, just as a reminder, we only had 3 days that we missed. So anyway, I'm asking you tonight that we just, it's just really a small, very detailed, it doesn't really change hardly anything, but it changes it because parents want to know, what do I do with my student during those 3 PD days? And so those PD days, professional development, or the parent-teacher conference, they will not have any school. No synchronous, no asynchronous, no e-learning, no virtual. So did you want me to repeat that one more time? There's mud?
Yes.
There a test that comes after that?
Yeah. So I just ask that you approve this, the calendar that's just slightly different, and would have be adopted of And if you don't adopt it, we'll just change the calendar, the date, but we went ahead and put it on here, so it's July 25th.
You say 2.5 hours to qualify for synchronous.
Yes, for elementary.
I would like to see it in first grader.
I'll move to accept adopt the changes to the MSD calendar.
All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
board policy, second reading and the vote for revisions. Policy 6160 on capital asset.
Yeah, we've had a capital asset policy. This is just a little bit more descriptive in how we classify some things that we have to report to the state board of accounts through Gateway.
Motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Also, second reading for the revisions for policy 3230, which is teacher appreciation grant.
So by statute, we have to annually approve the policy. The only changes here, just put some language in here that was recommended that we do or do not do. And so we're not really doing anything different than we did last year, but we are required to be able to receive these funds to annually adopt that. So we have to have approval from the school board to have that approved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, public comment? Items from board? If not, we're adjourned.